Considered to be one of the greatest seinen manga of all time, this story follows Thorfinn Karlsefni from his life as a child mercenary in the war between England and Denmark, to his time as a slave and farmer, to his journey as a legendary explorer, gaining allies and reaching Vinland, a mythical continent that he believes exists beyond the death and destruction of Vikings in Europe. This is Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura. Wow, fruit water. Good evening, and welcome to Manga Mondays. I'm your host, V Vlogs, and today we're talking about Vinland Saga! This is an amazing manga! I'm very excited to talk about something that's kind of older that I've read and isn't just something that I'm reading right now, and I have a reason for bringing it up. I've also got color grading, so I think maybe my camera will focus a little bit better. Who knows? Anyways, welcome again to Manga Mondays, the bi-weekly talk show where I recommend you great or interesting manga. This week we're talking about the future of Vinland Saga as we approach the end. This latest arc at the time of writing sees Thorfinn and his family finally reaching the continent, sort of coasting the edge now for a while. As these chapters have been coming out, I've been super hyped up on the conclusion and decided to take a closer look to discuss it quickly. I mean, what now? We're here, we're at the end, we're approaching the end. That's what we're here to talk about. So first, a little background. This manga itself, Vinland Saga, has been out for very many years, like 15 years now. And it's up there with the greats, like Vagabond, Berserk. In the manga community, it's talked about as one of those very good manga that is a seinen and has been going on for a long time. The protagonist isn't as flashy with a giant sword like some of those, so it isn't talked about quite as often, but it is a great series, and Thorfinn is very strong and endearing, and he starts out sort of like a typical shonen child, a very angry boy who wants to get powerful, like so many manga protagonists, but has grown to be so much more in basically real time. I mean, 15 years later, that's kind of where he is now, 15 years later in his life. What's crazy about this is at the same time, in like 2010, it had a farming arc where it sort of slowed down, like Vagabond, it hit a brick wall. But Vinland Saga handled it very well and is sort of better for it, I would say. Thorfinn had a companion that helped him get through it, earn his freedom through years of hard work, dedication, and conversation about where the story is going next. And it all felt very natural, both where Thorfinn should have ended up, given his life so far, and where he needed to go to cope with that and grow as a person. Whereas Vagabond sort of had trouble, and I think the author sort of lost interest. But the art at Vagabond at that time was very good and some of the best in the series. It's unfortunate that it sort of lost its direction at that point. The trade-off for that lesson for Thorfinn and Vinland Saga was a major tonal shift where Thorfinn refused to kill after having learned his lesson, and it's a bit interesting to see a shonen manga go in this direction, but I really like it. Again, Thorfinn is a very strong character and he does well with this tone and direction regardless. And Vinland Saga finally just got an anime. I say just, but like last year or the year before, covering the first 8 volumes or so, which I hear is pretty good, and got some more eyes in the series, though it definitely doesn't really represent the current tone. As someone who's been reading weekly since I was a kid, it's kind of bizarre to see it get talked about in that way again. It's kind of Walking Dead now, too. Like, they're in Vinland, basically. Thorfinn has a family. There's an anime going on, or there was. So what now? Where is it going now? Well, first of all, if you're new to the series, go check it out. It's only 170 chapters, and that covers everything. Now, you should start now because nobody's talking about it right now, and I think they will again when it ends, and they had been when the anime was going on, so you're unlikely to get spoiled by any of the major plot points because no one's talking about it right now, so now's a great time to go check it out and get in there. It does start out a little bit dense, referencing the geography with maps and letting you know where and when what's happening, but don't feel like you have to stop and read that and reference it as you go on because it'll let you know when that's important. It's good, just check it out, just plow through it. Again, it's real short. But for those of you who have caught up, have you read the latest chapter? What do you think will happen now? That's what I was wondering, why I decided to do this video. I'm just pumped up, I'm theorizing, I'm excited to see what's next. They're headed to North America, seems more like Canada and not Iceland, and it's sort of been hinted at twice now. There are other Vikings heading to this area, but I'm expecting some Native Americans since we have conflict hinted at with stone arrows and the hut. So my idea is that Thorfinn will get to North America and make peace with the Native Americans, and the other Vikings will come along and ruin that, meaning Thorfinn will have to fight them, meaning Thorfinn will have to kill them, and Hild will kill him. I don't know. I don't think Hild will actually kill him, but I feel like that's like, you know, you put a gun on the wall and that's hanging over him sort of symbolically, like he's going to have it coming if he kills anyone. But I don't want Thorfinn to fight, and I know he doesn't want to, and that would be the most satisfying conclusion to this arc, him making peace and establishing land in Vinland, having a little time skip, and it all works out. Despite that being the best conclusion for us as a reader, that symbol of Hild, of his past, is still there and hanging over his head, and I imagine that, much like how his father met his end, he could meet his end in the same way. Here's hoping he can do this with peace. Let no man be his enemy. The author does it. It comes out. It's satisfying. It works out. I would have preferred even the story portion we're at now to be left to imagination. It would have ended already, just because this is going to be hard to do. But he's doing it. He's writing it, so hopefully it's done well. All we can do is wait. I'm excited regardless. What do you think's happening next for Vinland Saga? Do you think Thorfinn will be able to do this peacefully? Do you think the Vikings will come and attack him and Native Americans? Maybe it'll work out great, but again, if you haven't read this yet, I'd recommend go checking it out. This is a very exciting time to be reading this story towards the end here. Let me know what you thought about the series so far down below. Subscribe, follow us on Twitter, support your local bookstore, read Vinland Saga. Goodbye.